Special warning. Today we're talking about sex. Specifically, how to have great sex and pleasure no matter your stage in life. Did you know that people who have sex at least 4 times a week look 10 years younger? I mean, think about it. We spend billions of dollars on makeup, eye cream, lotions, special soaps, botox, and cosmetic surgery. When really, maybe all we need to be doing is enjoying one of God's greatest gifts a few times a week. But what can get in the way of that? Oh, I don't know. Work, kids, stress, and sometimes we just don't feel like it. But sometimes our bodies may not be in perfect health. Some people have even bought into the lie that as you get older, your desire for sex wanes. Really? I mean, come on. You finally figured each other out. I mean, you know what turns him on. He knows what turns you on. The kids are older, maybe even out of the house. This is the time that you should be having the greatest sex of your life. I'm talking about mind-blowing, toe-curling, oh my God, I didn't even know that was possible, ecstasy. Today we're going to learn how to feed our bodies so that your natural desire for sex is restored. We'll also talk about some tips and tricks on how to create the perfect environment for sex and how to fan the flames of passion as you get older. I'm pleased to welcome back to the show women's health expert and natural hormone guru Jackie Harvey. Jackie Harvey is the publisher of naturalhormoneguru.com, which is a culmination of her vision and dream to see women everywhere experience overall health and natural hormone balance. But before Jackie was a hormone guru, she was an accountant, a wife to her husband Jerry, and mother to 7 wonderful children, 5 of which are daughters. But when her body began to betray her and traditional medicine suggested surgery, she knew there had to be a better way, and God took her down a different path. She firmly believes that that different direction changed her life, her daughters' lives, and the lives of countless other women. She has conducted hundreds of seminars called Let's Talk About Hormones, which has educated thousands of women. She worked alongside best-selling author and world-renowned hormone expert, Dr. John Lee. She's an ardent supporter of saliva testing and has been a women's natural health advocate for over 30 years. Jackie, welcome back to the show.
It's great to be here, Deanne. Thanks for having me.
Well, today, Jackie, we're talking about sex. And I remember when I had the talk with my mom, her words of advice were, wait until you're married, but when you are, do it a lot because it's a lot of fun. And I love those words of advice, and I'm so thankful she told me that. But I know there are some women out there that may not feel that way. Maybe they were taught that sex is not to be enjoyed, maybe there's shame around the subject, or maybe they were victimized in some way. But I know that you've been a long-time advocate of how important sex is in a marriage, not only physically, but mentally. Why is sex so important in marriage?
Marriages are about relationships, and a couple never feels as close as they do when they're having sexual intercourse. And I think that if it starts to ebb and flow, you'll notice that in the way the couple manifests themselves. So when I look at older couples, I can always tell if they're still in love. They'll be holding hands. There's sort of a foreplay that happens with older couples, and you can see it in their relationship, but you can also see if the relationship is faltering. And that's evident as well.
Well, as you know, Michael and I have 4 kids, and we always say, oh, we don't have 4 kids because we like kids. And you and Jerry have 7, so you know what I mean. Talk to us about what are the most important factors in a vibrant, healthy sex life?
Well, first of all, Deanne, I used to say the same thing when people would always say, "Oh, wow, how come you have 7 children?" And I used to say, "Because we like it." And so having a healthy sex life is very, very important. But it is important both for your mental well-being as well as for your physical well-being. You know, women that don't have sexual intercourse have often more problems, vaginal problems. They have, you know, especially as women get older. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. That's a good theory.
You know, Jackie, I talk to a lot of women who actually like their husbands and they want to have sex with them. But it seems that their sexual desire or their drive isn't what it used to be. What is the physical side of it? And how is there a connection between the hormones and sex?
Absolutely. And there's a hormone connection for both men and women. I know we're going to be talking about fertility downline, and you know, when it comes to sexual issues and fertility, 50% is men and 50% is women. So both men and women today are having hormone imbalances. And I've long been an advocate of both men and women evaluating their hormone levels to make sure that they're where they should be. You know, in order to have a healthy sex life, we need to have adequate estrogen, adequate progesterone, and adequate testosterone. So if we don't have hormones that are balanced appropriately, definitely we'll start to have some sexual issues show up. And you know, no woman likes to have intercourse if it's vaginally painful, for instance. And it is often thought that vaginal dryness results from not enough estrogen. We know that that's not true. We know that women that have normal estrogen levels suffer terribly from vaginal dryness. That is usually going to be a hormone imbalance, likely estrogen dominance is at the root of it, and it's going to be probably low progesterone as well.
So what can be done about that?
Well, again, I think that evaluating hormone levels when those types of symptoms start to evolve for women. You know, if you feel that fatigue and stress are going to impact your relationship, they're definitely going to impact your hormones. And so making sure that your hormones are in balance at that point is very important. And we have a program that includes 9 essential elements that will help to rebalance hormones. And it starts with a saliva test.
Well, if you have a lot of sex, chances are you're going to have a lot of kids, as you and I can attest. Kids can be a huge distraction. What can be done about that?
Well, first of all, kids are the fulfillment of having a sexual relationship with your partner. And so sometimes, having had children, women don't have any interest. You know, interest ebbs and flows throughout our lives. And so interest level, once you've just had children, could be very low. We know that the childbearing years, you know, the sexual interest will go up and down with the menstrual cycle, because when a woman ovulates, her desire increases. And there wouldn't be a baby born on the planet, Dan, if that didn't happen. And so making sure that you have an adequate amount of progesterone being produced at ovulation is very important. So in the childbearing years, I can see where interest will ebb and flow with the birth of a child, and maybe wait even up to a year, and then sexual interest will come into play again. I know that in the cycles of life, that sexual interest will ebb and flow, and women have to recognize that. So, for instance, in perimenopause, so that's the age of 45 to say 50, just before a woman goes into menopause, she's likely not going to be all that interested, and so part of the problem will be her hormone imbalance at that time. If she can readjust her hormones and rebalance them, then her sexual interest will come back. And, you know, that's all providing she likes her partner. You know, even rebalancing hormones isn't going to help if they don't like their partner. for a menopausal woman, things change in menopause, and women are more into responsive sex. And so sexuality in old age, it doesn't go away, it just changes. So women respond to their partner, and still will be sexually interested, but it's not going to be foremost in their mind. It's not going to be up front and center the way it was in our childbearing years. Now, it has to be up front and center then. It has to be. But in perimenopause, as things start to ebb and flow, and into menopause, responsive sexuality is where it will be at.
You know, Jackie, sometimes stress can dampen my mood. What role does stress play in sex? And also, what role does stress play in hormones?
Well, there's no question that stress is a huge problem for rebalancing hormones. Sometimes it's just going to take longer because of stress. You know, the body, when under stress, produces cortisol. And in order to produce that cortisol, it requires progesterone. The adrenals do what's called a progesterone steal. And so that will remove progesterone that is there to balance with estrogen. And so sometimes stress will cause an imbalance in hormones. And that's going to be manifested in the sex life of women. It's a difficult thing to be under stress and expect to maintain sexual activity at optimum. It's just not likely going to happen. And so making sure that you de-stress, because it will sabotage your sex life for sure.
Are there any of the 9 essential nutrients that can help with that?
I'm sure, well, the whole program will help overcome all of it. But I think L-arginine would be a really good ingredient. I think that taking extra vitamin D and vitamin C would be very important as well. Making sure generally that nutrition is good. You know, so many people just generally don't eat well. And I think ramping up nutrients will also make people feel better. You know, the idea is if you create wellness, you're going to feel like being sexually active. You know, exercise is important. Getting out there, even if you walk with your partner, just holding hands. I think it's an important part of sexuality as well. Oh, kick the TV out of the bedroom. I haven't mentioned that yet, have I?
That's actually a really good tip. I was just about to ask you, what other tricks can you suggest to help women have better sex?
I think a woman needs to be comfortable. She needs to have no distractions. So if the kids are knocking at the door, if the in-laws are living in the house with them, you know, if the TV is on and blaring, all of those things are going to be distracting to a woman, and women need to focus if you're going to be have really fulfilling sex. Men, not so much. You know, they're hardwired a lot differently than women are, and so the distractions, they wouldn't care if the kids are kicking in the door, but it certainly will affect a woman. So making sure that the distractions are gone. I think that a lot of people feel that having a glass of wine or alcohol before having sex is a good thing. I don't necessarily feel that that's such a good thing. Maybe in moderation, but I think it causes more of a lethargic attitude and could actually end up falling asleep instead of having steamy sex. I think, too, that women don't underestimate the fact that there are medicines that we take on a regular basis that could have some influence on our sex life, sort of downturning our libido issues. And so making sure that the medications, even cough syrups and, you know, at various times of the year, allergy medications, those are all going to have an influence on our sex life. And don't diminish those. Make sure that you check that out. I wouldn't want women to beat themselves up over their disinterest in sex. being interested often takes energy. A lot of women don't have a lot of energy, so fatigue's going to be a big issue. And so making sure that, set aside time. My husband and I have a date night every Friday night, and we've had that for years. And do things that, I know it seems like you're pre-planning and not so spontaneous, but it's worth it to pre-plan just to make sure that it happens.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jackie. Wow, I'm always so amazed how she takes something complicated and makes it sound so simple. Now, much of what we talked about today is squarely within your control. Like Jackie said, the pleasure and the joy of sex is how you approach it in your mind. So I highly encourage you to relax and just enjoy it. And the other issue is the health of your hormones. If you are a woman over the age of 20, you are more than likely estrogen dominant. And that not only affects your love life, it affects so many other areas. So let's do something about it. We've made balancing your hormones naturally ridiculously simple. Go to maxalive.com and subscribe to our all-natural hormone balance program. It has everything you need to balance your hormones naturally, including the saliva test to prove it. And I make this no-risk promise to you. If you don't absolutely love the way you feel, we will refund your money, no questions asked. So it's okay to have fun in the bedroom. It's okay to feel sexy again. It's okay to feel ecstasy again. So go ahead, follow your heart. Go to maxalive.com and subscribe to our all-natural hormone balance program and experience better health through natural hormone balance. Well, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Thank you for watching this Max Alive video. Be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and when you do, hit the bell to be notified every time a hot new video is dropped. Also, log on to maxalive.com to get more information about our natural, proven, and guaranteed program.